All right, what's going on YouTube? It has been a minute since I posted a video on here, so we're getting right back into it. And I'm going to start off this video with something that's going to provide a lot of value for you guys. So if you guys are in a situation right now where you are trying to get shredded, trying to lean out, or even just lose a few pounds for summer, this video is definitely going to help you a lot because I'm going to be going over a lot of three of the most common mistakes people make when they are trying to lose weight, trying to cut. And also towards the end of the video, I'm also going to throw in a little bonus, to kind of change your frame of mind a little bit. But before we get into it all, just so you know, the information that I'm about to tell you is coming from a valid source, that I'm not just some random guy on the internet who doesn't know how to actually get in shape nor help other people. So on the left, obviously, you can see my transformation. That was my bulk to cut last year. In the middle, that's my client Luke. Went from overweight, I would say, to completely shredded in just a few months. In fact, the transformation I did with Luke was pretty wild. That even we had a men's fitness interview, and it's all posted here. I'm going to link this out in the description if anyone wants to take a look at that. But and then also on the right, we have my client Joel, who lost 30 pounds in about 3 to 4 months. But just so you guys know, the information I'm about to tell you is coming from a valid source. There are some transformations and social proof. So let's get right into it. So number one of the biggest things or biggest mistakes a lot of people make when they're trying to lose weight is just improper food selection, or not knowing what the correct alternatives are to eat similar foods with less calories, more protein, less fat, less carbs, less sugar even. So always go with the low calorie, no fat, no sugar options, or low fat, low sugar options. Because at the end of the day, you will not be able to tell the difference, and it can save you hundreds, if not thousands of calories just by making this small change. I know some people say they can tell the difference between like diet and sugar sodas, and if that's the case, then I would just cut out sodas completely, and I'll get into that in a minute. But make those small adjustments. Like, for example, one thing that is a complete cheat code for me, and I always talk about it on my Instagram stories, is sugar-free maple syrup or sugar-free chocolate syrup. Throw that on some rice or some oats. It tastes so good, and it makes eating the quote unquote like boring bodybuilding foods extremely easy to stick to. Like, I've been doing that for like the last year, I would say. And even when I was bulking and having a hard time getting all the calories in, making that or just adding that flavoring essentially with no additional like junk calories was a huge game changer. And it's like, if you're someone who just can't stand the taste of rice or oats, throw some sugar-free maple syrup. I promise it's a game changer. The other thing is that you guys are drinking calories. You guys really need to stop drinking calories. It really adds up at the end of the day, because like, if you cut out sugar and fat drinks, you're going to save yourself so many calories. Like, things like soda, coffees, not black coffee, of course, or like with stevia or anything like that, but like the stuff you get from like Dutch Brothers, Starbucks, BlackRock, you know what I'm talking about. Or even, I would say, even cut out high moderate to fat milk. Like anything 2% or above, I would say cut it out and just go with the 1% or the no fat options for milk. But again, at the end of the day, it's always best not to drink your calories. Like, if you really insist on having milk, then I would always recommend going with like unsweetened vanilla almond milk or something like that. It has significantly less calories. And then also with alcohol, of course, I will never recommend anyone goes and drinks alcohol, because it's going to have a direct negative impact towards losing fat and building muscle. But if you do want to drink on occasion, like, I get it. What I would do, or what I recommend to you, is that you stick with clear liquors, low calorie seltzers, like White Claws, clear tequila, vodka, things like that, instead of doing like high calorie beers or mixed drinks, because at the end of the day, those will really add up to. And also on top of that, if you go with the clear liquors or the low calorie seltzers, your hangover is going to be way less. So some examples is just using like chicken breasts instead of chicken thighs, 95% lean ground beef instead of 80/20, egg whites instead of eggs. I mean, you can still have like one or two eggs, I would say, but substitute the rest of those with egg whites. Like, for example, what I do in the morning is or at night, I should say, I have one whole egg and then 300 grams of egg whites. To get the same amount of protein, if I was just going to do eggs, I would need like, I don't know off the top of my head, I'd need significantly more eggs, and eggs themselves obviously have a bunch of additional fat, which is healthier fat. However, those calories do add up, so I would substitute egg whites, or substitute some of the egg volume with egg whites. The other thing is that you want to make sure you're cooking with low calorie sprays instead of like butter or high calorie or oils. Things like Pam, even just using a little bit of avocado oil spray, that's what I use, makes all the world of difference, because a lot of people don't really consider the amount of calories that are in those oils. Because at the end of the day, 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. And when you just lather a bunch of like high calorie oil on a pan and then cook it, it adds up pretty quick, especially if you do that every day and really overdo the oil, which a lot of people do. So always go with the low calorie sprays, or like super low calorie sprays, like again, like Pam or like avocado oil spray, which obviously it will have some calories, but you can limit the amount significantly by using a spray. The other thing is that you want to make sure you use like utilizing or coming up with different healthy and creative recipes for like high protein, basically a way to make junk food healthy and high protein and lower calories to really satisfy cravings. And one thing that I do for my clients is, so I have this entire recipe book that I have for them. I mean, it's just kind of like a basic Google Doc right now, but it's an entire 50 recipe book that I give all my clients. That way they can really, I mean, it really kind of settles like a bunch of different cravings, like sweet, savory, a bunch of different ways to kind of just stay on track with your meal plan while satisfying cravings. It makes losing weight or just getting in shape in general so much easier when you're able to have these different alternatives. And I would say also, really, at the end of the day, you can come up with your own recipes, because it's very simple. What you really need to do is just look at the ingredients and recipes and a given junk food that you're craving or whatever, and then I'm 99.9% sure that there is some sort of recipe out there that you can look up, use chat GPT, even scroll on TikTok and find something, or find a way to make it high protein, low calorie, and maybe it won't taste as good, but it's still going to be able to satisfy your cravings. And that's a complete game changer when it comes to sustainability. The other thing, a big mistake a lot of people make, is just being outright straight up too restrictive. What's being too restrictive can do is can lead to binging, and also just additional cravings. So you want to ensure that the food you want to eat fits within your daily caloric intake. And how do you do that? I mean, I might sound like a broken record. I talk about this all the time, but you need to make sure that you're tracking your calories and macros using MyFitnessPal and a food scale. If you don't know how to do that, you can DM me on Instagram, and I have a free training that I can send you. What you need to realize is that you can still eat the foods you want and enjoy and lose weight. You just need to be able to control the portion sizes and be more mindful. If you don't want to use come up with different recipes, like, yes, you can still have a slice of slice of cheesecake, slice of whatever pizza you want. You just got to be mindful and understand how many calories are actually in that, and kind of be able to intertwine or accommodate that within your meal plan to be able to stick within your calories. Like, yes, you can probably have one, maybe two slices of pizza, but probably not the entire thing. And also, it is okay to have a dinner out or to be able to enjoy yourself on occasion. A lot of people get in this frame of mind when they're like, okay, I need to lose weight, I need to get lean for summer. And then they just cut out all dinners with family, they cut out all special events, and they just become way too restrictive. And when you constantly tell yourself that you can't have something, it's going to make you want it even more. It leads to the next point, is that you always want to be able to read nutrition labels correctly. So you want to check calories. Or actually, on a side note with the previous point about going to the dinners out, I'm going to go into a concept called calorie banking, and I believe the next slide, or at least later in the video. That's going to basically tell you how to structure your calories and carbs in a way so you can still go out and enjoy yourself on those special occasions, but still be able to be on track. But anyways, as I was saying, so you want to be able to read the calorie labels correctly. So check the calories per serving, serving size, and total servings in general. Some of these can be pretty misleading depending on what it is. I think like a bag of chips is like 150 calories per serving, but a serving is like, I don't know, 8 to 10 chips or something like that. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's something ridiculous. It seems like it's a low calorie snack. However, the serving size is so small that it ends up being a big serving, or a lot of calories. Like, I mean, who sits there and just eats 8 to 10 chips? I know I would. If I had a bag of chips in front of me, I know I wouldn't do that. That's why I would keep chips out of my place. But make sure you read the nutrition labels and understand the calorie per serving, serving size, and total servings in general, or in total. So calorie banking. Oh, this is what I'm going to talk about. Okay. So when I was talking about the being able to stay on track with special events, this is a huge key, and this is something that you guys can implement, and is going to be a complete game changer when it comes to sustainability with your fitness. So what you're doing here is essentially methodically structuring your calories to accommodate for a special occasion for event. So a little bit more detail. So essentially what you're doing is eating fewer calories than you need a few days leading up to the event to accommodate for the extra calories for the event. So what's an example? So let's say on Saturday night, you have a birthday party to go to, there's going to be food there that is, you want to have, that is not going to be necessarily on your meal plan. It's going to be higher in calories. So how do you actually implement calorie banking in this event, or in this situation? So what you can do is just kind of psychologically come up with how many calories. I mean, it's going to be hard to eyeball it, especially with food that you don't make, how many calories are actually in it. But what you would do is cut back your calories by 300 to 500 like 2 to 3 days prior, and also the day of. Those calories are going to need to be coming from carbs and fats. You want to make sure your protein is stagnant during this time. And even what you can do on the day of, if you plan on like really indulging on that special event, it just just only have your protein for your meals leading up to that event on that specific day to really give yourself those extra calories. That is something that I tell all my clients to do because, I mean, everyone has lives. Not everyone is like a super structured competitive bodybuilder. So you got to have ways to accommodate and be able to have a method that allows you to still go out, have fun with your friends, go out to birthday parties, and not to feel like you're being too restrictive and not kind of be that awkward person. It's like, oh, I can't eat that. I'm, trying to lose weight, which a lot of people do. And that's okay. However, there are ways around it by utilizing calorie banking. Again, you just have to cut your calories back the days before coming from carbs and fats. And then also the day of coming from carbs and fats, 200 to 300 calories roughly. If you shave up, let's say 300 calories for 3 days in a row, that gives yourself 900 calories to play around with on that special occasion. So, I mean, 900 calories is quite a bit. I mean, depending on how much you plan on indulging, you may need to do more, you may need to even do a little bit less. But this method of calorie banking is a complete game changer, again, when it comes to sustainability and being able to stay on track when going on special events or occasions. So really at the end of the day, it comes down to having a balanced meal plan and nutrition strategy that you can enjoy while sticking to a calorie deficit is what makes fat loss extremely easy. Like, do not be restrictive. Understand that you can have the foods that you want. You can come up with creative alternatives to make the quote unquote health or like the junk food taste bad. You can still go out and have those special occasions with friends and family. Again, just utilize the calorie banking. I would like I mean, everyone knows the saying, if there's a will, there's a way. Like if you want to stay on track and still enjoy yourself, there's always going to be a way to do that. So the third mistake a lot of people make is just by simply dropping calories too fast. It's extremely common. I see it all the time because like people want to, like, let's say like, for example, like a couple months or like a month ago, let's say like start of April. Okay. Summer's in 2-ish months. People are like, oh, I'm like 50 pounds overweight. I want to lose 50 pounds for summer. So they cut their calories to like 1500 right off the bat, start doing a bunch of cardio. Yes, you're going to lose a lot of weight really quickly, but where do you go from that when you plateau? Are you going to cut your calories to 1250? Are you going to start doing 2.5 hours of cardio? Probably not. Your fatigue and hunger levels are going to be so high after just a few weeks. It's not going to be sustainable. You're going to plateau. So, and all you're doing in this situation is just crashing your metabolism. And again, yes, plateau. And if you've been in this situation before, you're not really sure how to come about it, I do have a free training that goes over exactly how I fix this for my client, Joel, who you guys saw in one of the first slides. So if you want to DM me on Instagram, Metabolism, I'll send you that free guide on how to do that. My Instagram username is devind.fit. Also, when you drop calories too fast, you're going to feel extremely hungry. Your sleep is going to take a hit for sure. Your gym performance is not going to be ideal. You're going to feel horrible and then therefore binge. I mean, I've been there myself. I remember when I first was getting into all this, I would cut calories way too fast and I would just binge. I would binge like every couple of days. And I was like wondering, it's like, man, I feel like I'm cutting so hard. I'm not losing any weight. I screwed up my metabolism. I was binging and my deficit just was not there. My metabolism was not there in order to help me lose the weight that I was looking for. I mean, this was like a couple years ago, but you live and you learn, of course. Again, not sustainable. And sustainability is kind of one of those things that I'm really preaching here because a lot of people think that, again, once they want to lose weight, they have to make all these drastic changes in their life in order to make the physique changes they want, which is really just not the case. You don't really need to do more than 500 calories for consistent fat loss. I mean, I would say 500 calories like maximum. Like if you're eating like 2,500 calories at your maintenance right now and go down to 2,000, I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, I wouldn't say doing any more than that. You could get away with it for a while, but you would have to eat that much for quite a while and then just really leverage cardio to burn those additional calories when you hit plateaus or when your metabolism slows down. And on a side note, you don't need to be doing tons of cardio right off the bat either, because you can run into the same issue with fatigue, hunger, and just your metabolism crashing when you're doing hours of cardio. And again, I've been there myself. I feel like anyone who's been through a few bulks and cuts has made like many of these mistakes before. What you should aim for is to aim to lose about a pound per week. I mean, if you're like 250 plus pounds roughly, and that's my air fryer in the background. If you're like 250 pounds plus, you could probably lose a little bit more. I would say like maximum in that situation, like 2 pounds per week would be a pretty good rate of loss. It kind of depends on where you're at, but on average, most people would have the most comfortability with losing about 1 pound per week, because losing about 1 pound per week, like, yes, your calories are going to be a little bit lower. You're going to be doing a little bit of extra cardio than probably what you're used to. However, it's not going to be anything that's not manageable. You're not going to notice a huge difference in your hunger or fatigue, at least for a while. This is the kind of little bonus, the little change of frame of mind that I want to leave you guys off with. So daily calories in and calories out isn't everything. So what I want you to do is switch your frame of mind from only focusing on a daily deficit to a weekly deficit for a long period of time. One of the most common ways people do this is carb cycling. This is what I did during my last cut. It worked pretty well for the most part. This is kind of going back to the point of sustainability, because again, this is a very key point, especially if you're someone who likes to go out, you like to have special occasions, go to birthday parties, things like that. So you really want to make sure you focus on a weekly deficit. And so really what you really need to do is make sure you're tracking your calories and macros consistently, and then implementing the calorie banking system that I was talking about prior. And focusing from a daily deficit to a weekly deficit is just going to give you a lot of peace of mind, because let's say, for example, you have a special occasion and your weight shoots up 2 pounds from the event or whatever. One, I mean, yes, it's mostly just going to be water weight, and it'll come off in a couple days. But think about it this way. Like, let's say you use the calorie banking and focused on a weekly deficit. You'll probably lose an extra couple pounds of water just by going to a steeper deficit the days before. And then when you have that indulgence, that special event, your weight's going to go up a little bit, but maybe you'll be right back to where you were when before you started the calorie banking for that specific point in time. So losing fat and be able to keep it off is a long-term process, and it needs to be sustainable. Like, you guys cannot rush the process, because at the end of the day, the whole goal here is not just to get in shape, but to stay in shape. Yes, getting a six-pack and having a six-pack year round is amazing, but a lot of people aren't at that point yet. Like, it's going to take you a while to really build up the amount of muscle, build up the metabolism in order to actually be able to have a six-pack year round. That's not where a lot of people are at right now, but you need to realize that, like, if you're like 50 pounds overweight, you need to understand that it's going to be a long-term process, and it's going to take a few months to get there. But you need to make sure you go out in a sustainable way that you can, or have a plan that you can, that is going to be sustainable for the rest of your life. Because again, you want to be able to stay in shape. You want to be able to maintain your results, or if not, or even continue to improve upon the results you've made. Continue to make progress year after year. So do not view fitness as a fad. View fitness as a lifestyle. So you need to know how to make this a steady and sustainable process, which I basically just showed you how in this video by correcting these mistakes. But once you understand and implement everything, there's no way you won't be able to stay lean year round with ease. Like, yes, you might have to do a couple different, maybe 2 cuts, but at the end of the day, if you implement everything in here, those 2 cuts are going to seem very easy. Like, I promise, without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to seem easy. Like, yes, maybe you'll have to go down to do a small diet break at some point if you're very overweight, but that's okay. Like, you just got to take that diet break and kind of look at that from the perspective that it is basically taking one step to the side. I wouldn't want to say one step backwards, because you're not going to be gaining weight from doing a diet break, but one step to the side, let your metabolism, your hunger cues come back, and then start hitting the cut again. And then from there, once you get down to the ideal body fat percentage that you want, then you'll be able to stay lean year round with ease by implementing all these things that I talked about here. So in summary, I went over the food selection, food alternatives, switching to low calorie options, stop drinking your calories, create those healthy recipes for junk food to satisfy any cravings. Again, it's a very easy thing. Just using low sugar sauces. The sugar-free maple syrup is money. So good. Game changer. Restriction. Don't be too restrictive. You can eat whatever you want as long as it fits within your daily calories. Again, you do that by tracking your calories and macros every single day. And then controlling your portions and being more mindful by reading the nutrition labels. Again, you can have a slice of pizza, 1, maybe 2, but do not have the entire box. Unless you really went hard on the calorie banking system, then I guess you could have the whole box. I wouldn't recommend it, of course, because you might feel horrible, it might mess up your digestion, but theoretically you could if you really nailed in the calorie banking system. Calorie reduction. Do not cut your calories too fast. No need to be in a deficit greater than 500 calories per day, which is 3,500 calories per week. And then again, most people like to or feel most comfortable losing about 1 pound to maybe even a pound and a half per week. And then the final bonus closing thought is focus on the weekly deficit as opposed to the daily deficit. Again, utilizing the calorie banking and understanding that life happens, and You gotta wait. You gotta be able to stay on track when things when you're not able to stay necessarily in your like normal routine. So you gotta have ways to or stay on track when you're not in your routine, essentially, by using calorie making and basically everything I went over here. But yeah, that is it for this YouTube video, guys. First YouTube video back. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this video valuable. If you guys want to go follow me on Instagram, or maybe most of you guys are coming from Instagram, but if you're coming from YouTube, then go follow me on Instagram. It's devind.fit on Instagram. Say you're from YouTube, DM me, say what's up. And yeah, I think that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.